couple things happened, and they all revolved around our t-shirts. I won't say it's a coincidence, but two funny things. Well, one funny thing and one cool thing. Chuck, did you see that our shirt made national television?
I did, and it was because you texted me and said, "Holy shit, look at our Discord," and I was like, "Oh, okay, that's interesting," because I don't have notifications on for it. So I went there, and somebody said that they were at the DNC wearing one of our shirts, the No Elegy Needed shirt, which was pretty dope. But there was more to the story.
Very. Yeah, I want to say this right. Lilia Rose is, I think, how you say it. One of the younger delegates, state of Maryland, and was there on the floor. All of a sudden, I think it was NBC comes up, starts to interview her, and she's talking about how like pumped she is to be an Appalachian and be there, which is really cool. And then you like look and you're like, wait a second, I know that shirt. I've seen that shirt before. It's our shirt. So I thought that was really cool. It was all over. Thank you for repping us. Thank you for repping Appalachia. That was I think that that's great.
Yeah, and if you're watching on YouTube, I'm going to drop the clip in right about here so that you'll be able to watch and see it and see all that interview. It's about 2 minutes long.
There is no energy unlike what's happening in this room. Being from Appalachia, coming here together and seeing all these amazing Democrats. I got faith for the future. I know that Kamala Harris and Rawls as a rural representative is going to proudly advocate us all around the world.
What are you hoping to hear from Vice President Harris tonight?
I am hoping to hear, oh, that's such a hard question. I'm so excited to just be in her presence, but I'm hoping to hear the plans she has for the future and what she has specifically for the next generation of us young voters and how we can continue to motivate other young voters to get out and get involved.
Real quick, as a young delegate, what do you do after this? You talked about being motivated, the momentum. Where do you go from here?
Oh, I am going home and spreading the good word. All our friends are getting together and partying and knowing that we got to vote, we got to get out the vote because this is our future. Our future for clean air, clean water, our future of jobs, housing availability. You know, it's spreading that message and knowing that our vote does matter, even in the most rural areas of America.
Lilia Rose, she encompasses all that passion here at the Democratic National Convention. We appreciate you.
Yep, super short. Now, let's talk about a funny thing that happened with our shirts outside of Appalachia. And Chuck, I don't know if you know this. We have a shirt that says "Raise Hell, Praise Dolly." Have you seen that shirt before?
I've heard about it making the rounds, yes.
A couple people have bought it. Anyway, one
Handful.
of those people is one of my friends, Mallory. Mallory went on a work trip to Detroit, and while she was there, she thought it would be very cool. She went to 8 Mile, and
Fuck
she
yeah.
decided that it would be really cool to go see a Tigers game because it's really cheap to go to a Tigers game because they suck. They're not any good at baseball, turns out.
And it is in Detroit,
Yeah.
so lots of things are cheap.
It's their whole job, and they're not good at it. So anyway, they go to the game. They go through and they slide their tickets in. And this, she's walking away with another coworker of ours, and she goes, somebody runs up to her and is like, "Hey, can I see your shirt?" And of course, Mallory thinks this person likes the shirt. So she's like, "Yeah, it's my friend's podcast." And this woman stops, puts her hand up like this, and is like, "You have to change that shirt. You cannot be in this stadium with profanity on your shirt."
First of all, the idea that that shirt is something profane is objectively hilarious and also false.
Yeah.
Second, when has that... Okay, the only justification I can think of is that they broadcast these games on national TV, and maybe that's...
No one's watching the Tigers.
I know a lot of people that do, and they usually watch it while drinking, but that's also... Are they doing that with every single person that enters the stadium? Like, what kind of bullshit policy is that?
Well, here's the funny thing about it. So Mallory goes and she flips the shirt inside out. And then immediately when she walks through, she told me she sees this group of women with just full on, like, everything exposed, which is fine, right? Like very low cut shirts. But she was like, why is why is my shirt so bad? It was kind of her thought at that point, which neither of those things are bad, but it just so happens they chose our shirt as one that was not. We are banned. This is what I took it as. We are banned from the Tigers Stadium. We cannot go. I believe it was an attack on Appalachia. That's my belief.
I think you're right. First of all, I got a lot of love for Detroit and the teams there because I lived in Michigan for 3 years. Love Michigan. This is a disgrace of the highest order. And I would say I'm going to run this up the flagpole. I'm going to go as far as to say that Governor Gretchen Whitmer needs to issue one. Great governor. Could be an even better governor if she did this. Number one.
If she fixes this.
Issue an apology to us. Mm-hmm. Number two, issue a proclamation.
To Mallory.
To Mallory. Yes, actually, excuse me. Sorry. Let's not center ourselves here. A formal apology to Mallory and a proclamation allowing for shirts of this nature to be worn at Tigers games because, let's face it, the fans are already sad and depressed enough. Why do this to them?
I will take it a step farther. I would like the governor to tell the owners of the Tigers to either sell the team, or forcefully sell the team, or let's come together, let's shake hands, let's have an Appalachia night with the Tigers. Their jerseys say Appalachia on them, okay? And we just move on from everything. I think that'd be a great ending to this battle between the Detroit Tigers and this podcast. Which I guess this battle's heating up.
This is like...
I mean, now the governor's involved? Wow.
Listen, and Detroit is one of the places I don't want to go to battle with, but on behalf of our fans, on behalf of this show, and on behalf of Dolly Parton herself, we'll do it. Detroit's tough, but I'm just going to say Dolly is tougher. And she does not endorse our shirt. I don't want to imply that. Could be any Dolly. Just to be clear. But
Dolly the sex unicorn or sex cow. I did a report on that in the 12th grade.
Interesting. I wasn't aware of any cows that were used for sex.
It was
explicitly.
Well, it's a blow up cow. It was a forensics piece I did.
Oh,
anyway,
it's even
the
better.
other, just to chime in here, real Chuck. You are right. I would not want to go to battle with the city of Detroit. But the good news is the Tigers can't hit a damn thing, so we should be fine.
Ah, nailed it. Yeah, I mean, because, if you go to battle with Detroit, you're also going to battle with a lot of Canadians in Ontario who are big Detroit fans that do not like the Blue Jays. Just saying. Now, Canadians, they don't hit anybody, but that's okay. I would just say that a lot of this could be avoided by issuing Mallory an apology and allowing for this in the future because, again...
Appalachia night at the stadium.
If they want to win, if they want the Tigers to win, perhaps they would do this. That's all I'm saying.
No single team in existence has ever lost with our logo on their jersey. Not a single team.
That is a true fact, and I stand by it. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yep. You're welcome, Tigers. You're about to win.
Congratulations on the World Series that will be coming.
You're sweeping them.
This episode, we've got a couple things to touch on before our interview, and most of it just revolves around the DNC. And now I know what you're thinking. Oh, the Democratic National Convention. Why would you be talking about that on Appalachia? Well, as it turns out, there's a lot of Appalachian-ness featured in it, and I think that we should talk about it because, look, I don't know the full history of the Democratic National Convention, all the speeches that have been spoken, whatever, at these conventions. Spaked. But I would say that this is probably the first time that a working-class Appalachian has ever been given the speaker's stage, the given speaking time. I don't know that for a fact, but I'm gonna definitely guess that's probably true.
I'm sorry. I have to go back to Cash real quick. I'm really sorry about this.
Go ahead.
I posted on our Twitter. I retweeted the Secretary of State and put, "If Cash doesn't win, we riot." First off,
Jesus
this
fucking Christ.
well, I just have to let them know it's a warning that everyone wants Cash to win.
Okay.
So anyway, somebody put this again, which I just think that this photo is very funny because
so
it really
fucking
is
funny.
that guy from Spider-Man. But the reason I was bringing this up, Amy Van Winkle, I don't know if that's her real name or not, probably real estate agent, looks like that kid is in her kid's class.
Hell
Cash
yeah.
is in her Cash is, and she said the entire class is pumped for him.
Hell yeah, they are.
So I want Cash to win. People are agreeing. That's all I'm saying.
That is called class solidarity.
Cash solidarity.
Speaking of cash solidarity, I think that's great, and I hope he does. Speaking of class solidarity and cash solidarity, so John, we had an exciting night at the DNC. Not we weren't there. We didn't get the invite for the creators' credentials, so a little salty about that. That's okay though.
Very salty.
Very salty.
Don't underplay it. Very salty.
Very
DNC,
salty.
what are you doing?
DNC stands for Don't Never Create Nothing.
Did not
care
about Appalachian.
All one word. Yes, exactly.
Yep, it's a run on.
Did not care about Appalachia. Yeah. So, but this is really important, really exciting because our friend of the show and rare two-time returning guest, John Russell, out of nowhere, given a speaking slot.
Out of the blue.
Which was exciting and incredible. If you all don't remember, John is many things. He ran for office in Ohio, lives in West Virginia now. Used to work at a bar as a bartender. I don't know if he still does, but he's a reporter, I'll say, for More Perfect Union, which is an incredible pro-worker news outlet, which I'll talk about a little bit more in a minute. And this kind of came as a surprise to a lot of people. And I do have a small rant that I want to go on about this in just a second. But John, Big John, I want to get your thoughts on this because I know that we were both really excited for John Russell in this, but I wanted to get your thoughts on his speech.
I come from Appalachia. We kept the lights on in this country for generations. But the wealth made by our broken backs and our black lungs never did trickle down. And Washington listened to rich men demanding that we stick with dirty energy at any cost. Across the country, working class people are looking for a political home after years of both parties putting profit above people. Now, Trump, a billionaire, says that he'll take on the elites, but then he promises handouts to big oil, and he punches down at anyone with the guts to be different. But populism that insists we are too different to get along is just divide and conquer by a different name. There's another sort of populism with roots in this party that we in West Virginia know well. They called us Rednecks back in the 1920s because striking workers from all different races wore red bandanas around their necks as they fought and died for respect and a living wage. Their fight yesterday is our fight right now, right now. It is our choice to build on this progress and to create a political home for the mass of working Americans fighting for control over their government, their workplaces, and their planet. And it is our moment to live up to. Let's get after it. Thank you very much.
I hit a home run, grand slam, very, very solid timing. It takes a lot to be in front of that many people. Like, that's not easy. And John does like really awesome like videos and does a great reporting, but he hasn't, I haven't seen him in front of that audience, and he crushed it. He looked like a guy who belonged there, because he did, but he looked the part too, which is not easy. That's got to be, somewhat daunting. And as far as I know, he didn't have a whole lot of time to prepare that speech and still crushed it. Not an easy thing to do, and made it completely relatable. I saw, and I'm sure you did too, we had posted a video of his speech. People either didn't know or forgot about the whole redneck thing, the story that he told about the red bandanas, which we've told on this show before, and a lot of people have. But that, to get that across to a national audience, is a big deal, because now people they'll think twice when they think about rednecks, especially on the Democratic side, because they're the ones who watch the DNC, and they're going to hear, hey, wait a second, did you know what redneck actually means? And they're going to tell more people. It's interesting.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think you're right on all that. I will venture a guess. I will say I'm pretty confident this is the first time anybody wearing pearl snaps and rocking a mullet gave a speech on the DNC convention floor. I feel pretty confident about saying that.
Yeah, probably.
Maybe Jimmy Carter, who knows? So this is a really cool thing, and I do have a small rant about it, because we posted a clip from this speech about the redneck thing, and there was a lot of response, and so I want to provide maybe a little response to that response, because most of it was overwhelmingly positive, which is great. Some of it was, your poo-poo criticism of Democrats, and I understand that. So I just want to say that John Russell speaking at the DNC represented a huge win for Appalachia, represented a win for working class Appalachians, and that truly does matter and does make a difference. He, like I mentioned, works for More Perfect Union, which is a small niche pro-worker media outlet, but one that has actual influence in the White House. Like, this has been well documented. They were one of the biggest reasons why Joe Biden went and visited a UAW picket line earlier this year. So, John, you know how difficult it is to get a speaking slot at the DNC convention?
Pretty difficult. They didn't call me.
You know how many members of Congress, think tank leaders, celebrities, influencers all start calling in favors early to try and get one of those coveted spots?
I can't imagine.
They bumped James Taylor. I mean, that's like how big of a deal some of these spots are. The fact that John Russell was given one is huge, and it represents, in my opinion, a major step forward for Appalachian working class issues. I can't imagine someone like him being given a speaking slot if Clinton or even if Biden were the nominee.
Yeah, I agree. I think you're right. I think that this is showing a turning point based off who the candidate is.
Yeah, I think so too. And I'm not saying that it's perfect or that it solves anything, but this is an important step forward. And right now, like, I want to talk, because I know there's a lot of people listening to our show that range from hating the Democratic Party to being annoyed with them, to being apathetic about them, to being disgusted by them. And I get that. And I want to talk directly to those people who are sick and tired of the Democratic Party.
Listen up.
And who feel that they've catered too much to corporate interests and to all the other interests besides working class. And I get that. And I don't at all disagree with it. And I think you do too. I know that because you left the party. The Democratic Party... It's true.
I'm independent.
The Democratic Party for too long has put corporate interests over workers. That's true, and they've enabled things like war profiteering, all those awful bad things. In fact, the DNC robbed a Palestinian elected official of a speaker slot at this very convention, and that was incredibly stupid and foolish. And in fact, we've reached out to her. Her name's Representative Ruah Rahman of Georgia, and we're hoping that she'll be able to come on our show and talk about that. But hear me out, because John Russell speaking was extremely important, and there was a lot of responses that were dismissing of it, that said his speech didn't matter because it was the Democratic Party, and nothing matters because they're a corporate oligarchy that can't be saved. And so what I want to say is, like, those criticisms, they are valid, but we have to remember how power is wielded in this country and how change is made through power wielding. In this country, power is not given. It is taken. Either you take power or someone else takes it from you. Like it or not, the Republicans and the Democrats, the Republican and Democratic Party, represent the two vehicles of political power in this country at the federal level. That's it right now. It's unfortunate, but it's true. They are the two machines capable of getting power and wielding it in a meaningful way. So if you care about giving a voice to working class Appalachians, and if you care about policies that are pro-worker and pro-union, and if you care about prioritizing working people over corporations, then getting people who believe in those things in positions of power and influence in the Democratic Party is a strategically smart thing to do. John is a leftist working-class Appalachian who was giving a speaking slot in primetime on the same night that the party nominee herself spoke. This was a small step, albeit, but a step in the right direction and something that people like us can build on and be proud of. The only thing I wanted to say in addition to that is, like, John's speech was really great. I'm actually going to put it in this episode in its entirety. It's only about 2.5 minutes, but I want people to listen to it. It was really important. It's an important and meaningful step forward for working class Appalachians, pro-worker issues. I know that it's not policy change. It's not everything. It is a speech, but that matters and it makes a difference. And we can look at that and isolate it as a good thing while also acknowledging that the Democratic Party is full of flaws, and that a lot of the people in it are full of flaws. But this is also evidence that there are people working within it to elevate the right issues and elevate the right people. And so we can celebrate that while criticizing other things. That's all I wanted to say.
I think that is very fair. Also, here's one thing that pisses me off. Look, I'm one of those people. I'm very hypercritical of the Democratic Party. I'm very well aware that I am. I was in it for a long time. I ran as a member of that party. I'm very hypercritical of it. You cannot be critical of the party because they're not doing something, and then the moment they do it, say, well, yeah, but they're never going to change. You have to just say, we appreciate the first step, right? Because that's what the DNC was. It was the first step towards letting Appalachians essentially back into the Democratic Party, to matter in the Democratic Party again. There's so much gatekeeping when it comes to whether or not something is, quote, enough. It was enough. It was enough of a first step for people that should be lining up and saying, we appreciate you finally listening, right? Should have been years ago, but we appreciate you finally listening. Devaluing this step is another reason why the party will not care to take step number 2, because if you continue to shit on the party, even though they've attempted to at least make a gain there, you are nothing but problematic. And in all honesty, you are no benefit to the party itself or to the causes that you claim to be behind.
Yeah, I think that there's definitely value in that, because, and look, like, I think I want to be sympathetic to the opinions about the party because a lot of them are very valid. What is frustrating is to your point, the strategic play of getting power and being able to do these things that people proclaim that they believe in and want to do. I'm all ears about what are the other alternatives, because I'm willing to talk about those and explore them. I don't see any other viable alternatives. And we know for a fact that parties can very much be co-opted by ideology and by policy view to pivot in a different way. I mean, my God, look at the Republican Party between 2012 versus 2017. You went from Mitt Romney being the head of it to Mitt Romney being booed out of office, almost literally, and Donald Trump co-opting the entire party. I'm not saying that that's what needs to be done with the Democrats, but I'm saying that the party is the vehicle. It's not the end-all be-all. It's the vehicle and infrastructure that exists. The people in it are who make the change and who have the policy and who enact it. And so having people that represent the issues that we care about in it That is undeniably valuable.
And let me clear up what I said. I'm not trying to say people's opinion on things don't matter. Like outside of that, what I am saying is for people to see the Democrats take this step towards just Appalachians, to see them take this first step and dismiss it immediately is extremely extremely wrong, because when you do that, when you dismiss it, it underplays the value. What you should be doing is not only accepting it, but revving that up. Make it to where it's like, hey, this is a big fucking deal, and here's why, and this is also why they're doing it, because Appalachia's a big fucking deal. Like, that's the response that should be happening here. You can talk about how the party isn't doing, X, Y, and Z, how you believe that it should be going, left or right, but to dismiss it simply based off of this, I guess, allowance of having Appalachians on that stage is wrong. And it is not helping the region when you do that. It's making us look like no matter what this national party does, it will never be enough. And that is not something that we want. We want to create these steps. We should be pretty pumped about this, because if this doesn't happen now, I don't know when it happens. That's the reality of this situation. If the Dems don't move towards Appalachia now, it's going to probably be too late for a while. They need to do it now. They're doing it now, and we should be pretty pumped that they are, rather than just dismissing it and saying, well, it doesn't matter because X, Y, and Z. No, it does matter. You can disagree with the party politics. You can disagree with the movement that they have within the party, but dismissing this because of how you feel towards the party doesn't make any sense to me. I'm just going to be real for a second. There is no third party walking through that door that's going to ever win the presidential election in terms of the next 3 elections, let's just say.